I married into the Hu family with my best friend. She married Hu Yan, and I married Hu Mubai, Hu Yan's younger uncle. 2 years later, under the instigation of others, she decided to divorce Hu Yan, saying, "I'll leave. You should leave too as best friends. We should stick together." In my past life, I agreed, foolishly following her to divorce and leave. However, after the divorce, she secretly took our divorce compensation and went around the world while I collapsed physically due to a miscarriage. When I asked her to pay me back, she said, "You're really useless. Just fend for yourself." In this life, I decisively refused her, and it was her turn to fend for herself. I want to divorce Hu Yan. I make him kneel every night to wash my feet, and he actually dares to refuse. Shirao says he doesn't love me at all. My best friend Tenmi started complaining as soon as she got home after gathering with another friend. "Don't listen to Shia Shah. She's just jealous that you married well. He's your husband, not your servant. Even if he were a servant, there's no reason for him to kneel and wash your feet." Sitting on the sofa, eating fruit, I handed her a cherry while earnestly trying to advise her. In my eyes, Shia Shah harbored ill intentions. She was just jealous that both of us married well. She used to say such things to me often. She once told me that my husband was almost 40 and that younger men were better. She said she wanted to take me to a nightclub to find 2 handsome guys to keep me company, and I refused. Shia Shah is doing this for my own good. Don't say that about her. I've made up my mind on a divorce from Hu Yan. If I leave, you should too. We need to support each other as best friends. She pouted, looking at me with excitement, as if to say we could finally escape the sea of suffering. She is my best friend. We grew up together, went to school together, worked together, and married into the Hu family together. But my husband, Hu Mubai, has really treated me well. I am sure that once I leave him, I won't find another husband who is as good to me as he is. He is almost entirely obedient to me, even gave me an unlimited credit card and lets me drive any car at home. Whenever he goes on a business trip, he always brings me gifts no matter how busy he is. And he overcomes every obstacle to be with me on my birthday and our anniversaries. Seeing me hesitate, pulled out a few photos from her phone for me to look at. "Look, this is a candid shot I had someone take. Your husband and his secretary have actually been together for a long time. What use is there for such a useless cucumber? You should just get a divorce." I was so stimulated by that photo that I was about to nod in agreement when suddenly a flood of memories from my past life surged into my mind. It turned out that after I agreed to divorce in my past life, my painful days began. After I proposed divorce to Humabai, he begged me repeatedly to stay, even offering me 5% of the group's shares. But in that moment, blinded by jealousy, I thought he was cheating on me and was determined to divorce him with Sunni's instigation. I even attempted suicide for the sake of the divorce. In the second month of our divorce quarrel, Gayuba had his heart broken by me, agreed to the divorce, and gave me 30 million as a settlement through a tantrum and embarrassed Hu Yan, successfully divorcing him. Hu Yan is now just a vice president of a subsidiary company, and she received 5 million as her divorce compensation from him. After getting the money, Sunni invited me to a bar to celebrate, but after getting me drunk, she took all the money and ran off to travel the world. She said, "When you're young, you should enjoy life." But she used my divorce compensation. She was feasting on my blood money. Worse still, due to alcohol poisoning from drinking, I lost the child I was carrying after being sent to the hospital. It turned out I was already pregnant with Humabai's child, 2.5 months along. I could have been a mother, but I miscarried because she forced me to drink. After the miscarriage, I cried every day and soon my body gave in. I needed hospitalization, but I had no money. I called me. "I'm sick. Can you return my money? Even 1 million. I needed to save my life." Then I heard the coldest and most heartless words I've ever heard in my life. "It's just a miscarriage. Why act like you're dying? You're really useless. Someone like you, who can't handle pressure, should just fend for yourself. How could she say that about me? The reason I've ended up like this is all because of her. I begged her, please give me back my money. Can you spare $1 million? You spend 200,000 on a single meal. I've seen her social media posts while traveling the world. She spends money extravagantly. She's constantly dining in the world's top restaurants and staying in the most luxurious hotels. One of her meals costs more than a year's worth of my medical expenses, but she won't give it back. On the other end of the phone, she arrogantly said, once this money is in my hands, it's mine. If you have the guts, go ahead and sue me. I've already secretly immigrated. It's very troublesome to get tangled up in a cross-border lawsuit. I can afford it, but can your body endure it? By the way, Gumubai never cheated. Those photos were photoshopped by me. I'm getting a divorce, and you can forget about continuing to be the wealthy lady. She wanted to drive me to madness so that all my divorce compensation would be hers. I was so furious that I called the police, but they said she is no longer a Chinese resident and the hope of recovering the stolen money is quite bleak. So I should prepare myself mentally. Later on, she wouldn't even answer my calls. Yet, she still flaunted her newly bought designer bags on her social media, showcasing her extravagant lifestyle. In fact, she even became an online celebrity due to her flaunting wealth, making a fortune effortlessly with promotional deals. Her life is getting better and better while my life is stuck in the mud, decaying and stinking. It was her that harmed me and my child with no money to my name. I could only work odd jobs while waiting for death. I didn't go to Home Yuba for help. I was too ashamed to face him. I felt like I was stupid to death because a single word from Sunmi ruined my whole life, and I even easily believed the rumors of his infidelity. At the end of my life, Gumubai found me. He held me tightly and wept bitterly. Why are you so foolish? You got sick and didn't think to come find me. If you need money, you can just tell me. I cried too, reluctantly caressing his face. I'm sorry. I thought I was being loyal, but I didn't realize she had been manipulating me from the start. And she caused the death of our child. We once had a child. He held me for a long time, telling me he had never remarried, that he still loved me until I regretfully closed my eyes in his embrace. It was too late. Everything was too late. In this lifetime, I will make Tsunami pay for her blood debts in blood. Baby, why aren't you talking if you don't say anything? I'll take it as you agreeing. I know you value loyalty the most. Teeny smiled as she came over to hug me, trying to ruin my life with just a few words again. Go ahead and get divorced if you want. My husband treats me well. I don't want to divorce him. I turned away from her touch, suppressing the hatred in my heart, and said calmly, What? You're not getting divorced. He's already cheated. How can you continue with him? Don't be naive. You need to be more awake. Freedom is so valuable. Seeing I was unmoved, she tried once more to brainwash me with her rhetoric about how freedom is priceless. While the H family is a cage, in my previous life, I was indeed swayed by her, but not because I cherished freedom. It was because I felt sorry for her, fearing she would be lonely after the divorce, living alone. I always regarded her as my best friend. It was because I thought my husband really had cheated on me. He was so outstanding, and I was very afraid he would abandon me. I figured that rather than being driven out by him, it would be better for me to leave on my own, preserving a bit of dignity. But in reality, he had never cheated. It was Tsunami who, tired of her good life, couldn't stand to see me thrive. She and Yushia Shah were equally vile, both with a heart of blackness. To them, a best friend was merely a stepping stone or a doormat. Could you send me the evidence of his infidelity? I want to take another look. I asked her, pretending to hesitate. I don't think that's necessary. You can see the same thing on my phone. She hesitated to give them to me because all the photos were fabricated by her, and she was afraid I'd noticed the clues. If you won't let me save them to look at every day, how can I get over him? I said, my eyes red. All right, I'll send them to you. She gritted her teeth and packed up the photos to send to me. thinking that since I trusted her so much, I wouldn't suspect the photos were all manipulated. I pretended to be looking at them, but actually saved all those photos secretly. They were evidence of her damaging Hubai's reputation, which could be quite useful in the future. You see, they're hugging each other now. So, this time you've given up. Right, to me, fan the flames, pointing at a photo and said to me, but I still can't bear to divorce him. He cheated. I can tolerate that. I'm still not going to divorce him. If you want to leave, just go ahead. I wish you freedom and I wish you happiness. After saying that, I directly dove into the kitchen to make lunch. After a lifetime, now everything is still salvageable. I can't wait to see Humubai. So, I decided to go to his company to bring him lunch. While I was busy in the kitchen, Toonie stood next to me with a grim expression, hands on her hips, reprimanding me. What's wrong with you? Are you still my sister? I'm getting a divorce. How can you not? Aren't we supposed to be the best of friends? I didn't say anything. After the servant helped chop the ribs, I began marinating them. W. Mubai really enjoys my steamed ribs with yam. Seeing that I was silent directly broke the tension. Are you going to betray our friendship for that old man with the divorce compensation? Wouldn't it be better for us to find ourselves some young hunks together? As I was cutting asparagus, I shook my head. No, I really like my homebody. It's so comfortable to cuddle up and sleep with him, as long as I remained unyielding. She had no way to counter it. Tsunami was so angry that she stamped her feet. How can Zhang Deng compare to a little fresh meat? He's just a cheating Zhang Deng. Can you stop being so loveruck? I really can't deal with you. I steamed the spare ribs and stir-fried the greens, then started washing the fruit. You like little fresh meats, but I don't. I have no ambition. I don't want to work hard outside. I just want to be a rich lady who eats and waits to die. Toonie was left speechless from my anger. She reached for the fruit I had just washed, but I swatted her hand away. Keep your hands off. This is for my husband. Seeing me carefully pack up the lunchbox and prepare to go out to meet Huya for lunch, Tsunami couldn't help but speak harshly to me. Xingno, if I hadn't known Huyen first, would you have had the chance to get close to Hoba through me? I've been so good to you, and now you don't want to care about me. You've changed. You used to listen to everything I said. I was foolish back then, not distinguishing between my best friend and my toxic friend. There was also something she got wrong. I got to know Humubai not because of her. Humubai and I are alumni, and we met 3 years ago at an alumni gathering. At that time, she didn't have Huyen by her side. I can marry Humubai because I am worthy enough because I was once an internat. In contrast, she married Huyen because I pleaded for her in front of Humubai. At that time, after Huyen proposed to her, the Hua family originally opposed her entering the family, thinking she was too dramatic. It was me who told Humubai, I don't want to feel lonely after marrying Yin. If she comes over, we can keep each other company. I want to be sister-in-law with her. Afraid of hurting her self-confidence, I never brought this up with her. Yet, she wanted me to be grateful to her for it. I sighed and said, if I advised you not to divorce Yen, would you listen to me? She shook her head. No. Well, then I sneered. If you don't listen to me, why should I listen to you? I'm not your pet. Tsunami was so angry that she pointed at my nose and scolded. Fine. I shouldn't have kindly come to pull you together to regain your freedom. I'm leaving now. Won't block your sight. In the future, if you see me divorced, don't envy or be jealous. You only deserve to be a caged bird for life. After saying that, she sulkily returned to her own room upstairs. After packing up the lunchbox, I had the family driver take me to the whole group. Before I walked out, I told Aunt Jo, the nanny, from today on, do not let Suni enter my and Humabai's room alone, including my dressing room. In my previous life, after deciding to get divorced together, she quietly went in many times. The jewelry and haute couture clothes, luxury bags that Hubuai gifted me were secretly sold off by her, and she even replaced them with fakes. If it weren't for Homub's good temper, he would have long taken her to jail. In this lifetime, I will not allow her to harm those things that Hubai gave to me. Aunt Sha has long disapproved of her. Yes, I will definitely keep an eye on the second young mistress and not let her run amok. This traditional Chinese mansion is under Hubai's name. It should have been up to me and Homie to make the decisions here while she and Ho Yan are merely staying as guests. In the past, she and I were best friends, so I let some things slide and didn't hold them against her. But from today onwards, I will let her know who the true mistress of the Hu family is. When I arrived at H Corporation, Secretary Li, Guyu's assistant, was already waiting downstairs. She greeted me warmly. Good day, ma'am. Mister was sent me to pick you up. She was polite and straightforward with me, but in my previous life, under Tenmi's instigation, I mistakenly thought she was involved with Humiyu, which escalated the situation and caused her to lose this job. Filled with guilt towards her, I smiled at her and said, Thank you. In the elevator, I used my phone to order a set of afternoon tea and a luxury skincare product for each employee in the entire CEO office, as a token of gratitude for their help in taking care of Humabai. Secretary Li was flattered and replied, Madam, you're too kind. Thank you very much. As I exited the elevator, Guam Mubai, the busy man, was already waiting outside. Upon seeing me, he took the food box from my hand and naturally held my hand. Wife, what made you decide to send me lunch today? I looked at Humubai in front of me, and suddenly my eyes turned red. In my past life after our divorce, I always missed him deeply, longing to stand by his side like this, with his hand holding mine. Now I could finally stand next to him again. I was so excited that I was shaking all over. I sniffed and lowered my head to suppress the urge to cry and went with him to his office. Of course, I've missed you. Move, who was in the process of closing the door, froze for a moment. I tend to be more reserved, rarely expressing how much I miss him so straightforwardly, and he instinctively became nervous. Is it that you don't have enough money? Or is someone bullying you? Why are your eyes so red? Just tell me, and I'll take care of it. He has always been so good, so patient with me. I shook my head, unable to control myself as I threw myself into his arms. It's not that. I just suddenly miss you so much. Husband, I love you. Guam, Mubai, looking bewildered, let me hold him. When he saw that I had been hugging him for quite a while without any intention of letting go, he feared that my arms might get sore. So, he gently pulled me over to the sofa and willingly encircled my hand with his again. He said, Hug me as long as it makes you happy. You can hug me until dark. I love you, too. This little display was quite endearing. I broke into a smile and leaned against him, feeling a real sense of being alive again. Husband, it's so good to have you. Guai leaned down to kiss me. I can be even better. Want to try some office play? My desk is quite spacious. It's rare for me to bring him lunch. And with me rubbing against him like this, I couldn't help but feel a bit flustered. It was both a joke and a flirtation. I quickly covered his mouth with my hand and glared at him. Don't be ridiculous. It won't sound good if this gets out. Well, Mubai licked my palm with some dissatisfaction. I'm sleeping with my own wife. So, what's the problem if this gets out? If you won't sleep with me, you've got no reason. He looked at me with a pitiful expression. This old lecher. And I almost forgot that he had a physiological attraction to me. He couldn't help but get close whenever he saw me, transforming from a domineering CEO into a devoted husband. Afraid he might really get carried away, I leaned close to his ear and said, I have something serious to tell you. My period is 10 days late. I remember that we seemed to forget to use protection about half a month ago. Do you think I might be pregnant? Based on the timeline, that child from my past life should have been conceived half a month ago. Losing that child in my previous life has been a lifelong pain for me, since fate has given me another chance. This time I will make sure to protect our child, ensuring he is born safely and grows up healthy. Guam Mubai immediately laughed, so hard he could hardly close his mouth. Pregnant, I was wondering why you suddenly came over today, crying and laughing all at once. He carefully held me, not daring to squeeze too tightly, fearing it would hurt me. His eyes bright with excitement. I could feel how incredibly happy he was right now as he trembled while speaking. Wife, we're having a child. I'm so happy Mubai is finally having a baby at my age. Haha, who says he's old? Not even 40 yet. I reached out to lightly punch him. Nonsense. You're not old at all until you go to the hospital for a checkup. I'm still not sure if I'm really pregnant. Guam Mubai held me and said, if you're pregnant, well, become parents and take good care of him. If not, don't worry. It's definitely not your fault. We'll keep trying, and one day we'll have our own child. He's almost 40, and his peers' sons are already in high school. It's impossible for him not to be anxious. He just doesn't want to put pressure on me. Leaning in his arms, I felt an immense sense of security. I'll follow my husband's lead. In the afternoon, Guam Mubai skipped work to accompany me to the hospital for a checkup. The blood test results confirmed that I was indeed pregnant. The baby was only 2 weeks old. Mubai's face broke into a huge grin right away. He had always wanted to have a child with me, and out of excitement, he reached for his phone to call Huyen and share the good news. I held his hand down. No, he's in the middle of a divorce with Tsuni. Calling him now would be like rubbing salt in his wounds. My pregnancy is still in the early stages, so we need to keep this a secret for now to avoid any envious people who might bring harm to the child. Guam Mubai nodded repeatedly. It's still my wife who thinks things through. From now on, I'll arrange for 2 bodyguards to watch over you 24 hours a day, ensuring your safety. Both you and the baby must be perfectly fine. I think it's necessary because if me and you Shirao Shah find out that I'm pregnant out of jealousy, they might harm the child in my belly. After all, they can't stand to see me happy. When I returned home, Tinmi was causing a scene with Ho Yen about getting a divorce. Tsuni, dressed in a spaghetti strap dress, was hitting him with a pillow and throwing an ashtray at him. The ashtray landed at my feet, shattering into several pieces. Huyen, you just don't love me. Otherwise, why won't you take me to the business dinner today? We should get a divorce. Hu Yan was getting a headache from her yelling, but still tried to plate her. Wife, can you stop being unreasonable? What would you do at an industry summit? It's just a bunch of men. You get jealous, and I say a couple of words to you. You're so beautiful and dressed so seductively. It's easy to encounter some Lyris wolves there. Going to the dinner was just an excuse for Tsuni. When Huyen finally relented and agreed, Tsuni changed her mind again. Forget it. I'm not going. I want you to kneel down and wash my feet. Massage them. My feet hurt. The maids at home couldn't help but lower their heads and stifle their laughter, thinking she was being too dramatic. Huyen had been tired from work all day and just wanted some tender moments with his wife, but she kept pushing his buttons. He finally couldn't take it anymore. If you want your feet washed, just call a maid. I'm not a footney immediately found a reason to cry and make a fuss which annoyed Huyen. When he saw me, he reined in his temper and said to me, Auntie, sorry to disturb your rest. I plan to stay at my own place for a while, and Sinmi will be entrusted to you. He has several properties in the city, and he couldn't stand Sunmi's plan to hide from her. I know he's innocent, but I feel that Tsuni, this ticking time bomb, shouldn't be left here, especially since I just got pregnant. I said to him, with Tsuni making such a fuss, neither your uncle nor I can get any rest, so you might as well take her away. You have so many properties. Just pick one and get it ready for her to live in. Huyen acknowledged his fault with a nod, had someone go upstairs to pack Tenmi's belongings and handed her a key to a small apartment. You can stay in my small apartment for a few days. Once you calm down, we can talk properly. I don't want a divorce. Saini, however, did not want to leave. She pointed at me and said, Do you have a conscience? You are my best friend, yet you actually want me to go. Otherwise, this is my home and I'm supposed to leave, relying on the fact that she was my close friend. After she and Ho Yen moved into our house, Not only did she occupy the second largest suite, but she also had free food and drinks every day with a house full of servants catering to her every need. She even drove my husband's car multiple times, used my jewelry, and wore my dresses. If she couldn't appreciate such a good life, then she should go out and wake up a bit. Mwai is coming back soon. If he sees you throwing a tantrum and yelling at me like this, you are well aware of the Hua family rules. I am not just her best friend, but also her aunt belonging to her and Huayan's elders, and she must respect me. Tuni is not afraid of me, but she fears Humui. As soon as she thinks of Humu's temperament, she immediately tones it down. Fine, I'm leaving. I'll remember you. After saying that, she stamped her foot, grabbed the keys, and walked out. Huyan gave me an apologetic smile. Sorry, Auntie, I've caused you trouble. I quietly reminded Huyan. She has been getting too close to that Yuxia Shah recently. Yu Xiao Sha has said a lot of bad things about you. She might have led her astray. I suggest you stop her credit card for now. Let her wake up a bit. I will always keep your room for you, no matter what she does. You will always be Mabai's family and also my family. Without money, let's see how she will still manage to hop around. Hu Yen nodded thoughtfully. So that's how it is. I will cancel her credit card immediately. Thank you, Auntie. After they left, I had someone thoroughly clean the room where me had stayed, packing up all her used belongings and sending them away. Out of sight and out of mind. I can drive her away, which means I have the ability to make sure she never returns. When Humai came back, he saw that all the little items belonging to Tsini were gone, and he remarked, that pesky light bulb finally left. Now that she's gone, we can live more comfortably. My wife, you finally come to your senses. I didn't come to my senses. I hit a brick wall and finally understood, having dealt with the big trouble that was in me. I comfortably leaned back on the sofa, rubbing my still flat belly, my heart filled with anticipation. Is our child with Wu Bai a boy or a girl? Does he take after him or me? We are sweetly in love, but Sunmi is not having it so well. After moving into the small apartment, she complained about everything. The night view from this place is simply terrible, and there's no yard. How am I supposed to take a walk? The servant responsible for bringing her over said, this house surely can't compare to Mr. Was grand residence. Just make do with it. Second young madam, maybe after a few days, you and the second young master will make up and move back. Tenmi was still not satisfied. After picking and choosing around the house, she said to the servant, change the bedding to the top Italian brand. And I'm not happy with the style and color of the sofa either, so replace it. The curtains lack texture, so they need to be changed as well. The servant nodded, jotting it down in a small notebook, then asked her, I'll go by these right away. May I ask how you plan to pay? A rough estimate of these things will require at least 500. 000. Timmy handed her a card and told her to take it and swipe it. 20 minutes later, the servant returned to the apartment, offering the card back with both hands. I'm very sorry, second young madam, but your card has been frozen. You'll have to make do for one night. Teeny narrowed her eyes unhappily. Damn man, actually freezing my card. Don't think this will make me compromise. Then she pointed at the maid and said, go run the bath water for me, and then come back to give me a back rub. I'm sorry that's not within my duties. It's getting late, so I'll be heading back to Mr. Now, after the maid finished speaking, she turned to leave because she was not employed by Tsuni. She belonged to Humui. The only reason she could drop Tsuni off was that I was giving face to Ho Yen. This does not mean that she, as a Nyen-in-law, can command Humabai's servants to do this or that for her. After the servant left, Tsunami called Huyen. How could you stop my card? Do you know how embarrassed I was just now? Huyen, who was busy working overtime on the line, had no time to waste on her. I'm working overtime. If there's nothing else, hurry up and hang up. Teeny shouted on the other end of the phone. How can you treat me like this? You said you would love me for a lifetime. Huyen impatiently said to her, can you just calm down and reason a bit? You're the one who's going to divorce me. So why can't I cancel your card? All that money in there is mine. At this point, Tsunami had nothing to say. Indeed, all the food and drinks she had over the years hadn't come from her own money. After hanging up the phone, Tuni felt a bit down. She didn't take my earlier advice, but instead called you Shirao Shashiasha. I'm feeling a bit unhappy. Let's go drink together. Why, Shia Shah couldn't be happier for her to go down that path and immediately provided the address, inviting her to meet. She also notified me. Xing Noah and I are going to the bar for a few drinks. Do you want to come? Looking at the message sent to me by Yu Xie Shah on my phone, I paused for a while before replying to her. I'm not going. My husband is strict. Enjoy your meal and drinks. After sending the message, I called the manager of the bar under the Ho family. From now on, when you Shah and send me come to the bar, let them pay for themselves. I won't be covering their bills anymore. The manager agreed and said that starting today, all their expenses would require them to pay immediately. After taking care of this matter, I directly blocked you, Shia Shah. In the past, every time they had a gathering, as long as they called me, I would pay the bill. Even if I didn't go, they would still put the drink costs on my tab. Now that these two bloodsuckers no longer have me, they're cash cow to rely on. Let them drain each other dry. When Hoba came out of the bathroom and saw me staring blankly at my phone, he asked me what was wrong. I told him about the situation. I feel that Yu Xie Shao has ulterior motives. I remember she is currently managing a store at one of the H Corporation subsidiaries, thanks to Tsuni pulling strings for her. Can someone like her really serve customers well? Why don't you have someone investigate her professional capabilities? If she's not up to par, just let her go. Muba said, that's simple. I'll have someone check first thing tomorrow morning. If there's an issue with her character, we'll replace her. Then he yelled at me to go to sleep early while seriously reading the pregnancy care manual that the assistant had just delivered. I lay down next to him, inhaling the familiar scent of his shower gel, feeling very reassured. After putting my phone on silent, I quickly fell asleep. That night, Suni and Yu Xie Shah called me many times, but I didn't answer. It wasn't until the next morning that I realized how exciting their night had been. They had ordered 4 top male models to hug them tight, as well as several bottles of wine costing over 100,000 along with some fruit platters. After drinking and eating until midnight, they found themselves without money to pay the bill when the bar manager threatened to call the police. Tenmi, unable to reach me, had no choice but to seek out Hu Yayan. Hu Yayan paid the bill for her, but upon learning that she had ordered a male model, he couldn't help but shout at her. We're not even divorced yet, and you're ordering a male model. Are you out of your mind? If that Yu Xie Shah told you to die, would you go do it too? Send me on the phone with him. Argued for you. Xie Shah is my best friend. She's just worried about me. How can you say that about her? Having barely slept for 2 hours in the middle of the night, he was woken by this nonsense and his anger flared. If you think she's so great, go live with her. Why even get married? Tinmi frowned. What do you mean? Huyen sneered. As you wish. Well, get divorced. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau at 9 this morning. Sunmi had thought that it would take a long time for Huyen to agree to the divorce after she put on her act. But without her being foolishly beside her this time, Huyen agreed to her request for divorce in just a day. It was indeed the point where she picked a male model that hurt Huyen's pride too greatly. Huyen is handsome and wealthy. Could he possibly be inferior to those men who sell themselves? At this moment, Suni hesitated a little, a bad feeling creeping over her. I want to think it over. However, Yu Xie Shah immediately urged her in a whisper. Me. Don't hesitate. Quickly agree to him. This is the freedom you've always dreamed of. Didn't you say you wanted to travel the world after the divorce and become a travel blogger? Your dream is about to come true. Tsunami couldn't help but be persuaded. As soon as Yu Xiao Sha pushed her, she immediately relented and said to Huyen, Okay, See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Whoever doesn't go is a grandson. When I went downstairs this morning, Hu Yan was already at my house, sitting in the living room discussing with Wu Bai how much divorce compensation to gifts and me. Hu Yan said, the fault in the divorce lies with her. I think giving her around 2 million should be enough. After the marriage, she benefited from you all and she has contributed nothing to this family in my previous life because Humubai took the initiative to offer me 30 million in divorce compensation. Hu Yan was afraid that a comparison would make him seem too stingy, so he gave Tsuni 5 million in compensation. But Humubai was indeed quite generous, even towards a former Nishan-law. He said, it's not easy for a woman to navigate society. She is still your little aunt's close friend. So, for the sake of your little aunt, give her a little more compensation. You contribute 3 million, and I'll help you with 2 million. Hearing this, I spoke up from the second floor. Honey, you mustn't give her extra compensation for divorce, just because she's my close friend. I think you need to see this. I went downstairs and handed him my chat interface with Tsuni, which displayed several composite photos. She had sent me photos that were utterly horrific. After Hamui saw those photos, his brows furrowed deeply, and he quickly explained, this is not true. Secretary Lee and I are completely innocent. She prefers women. Seeing how nervous he was, I patted his hand and softly reassured him. I know. I believe you haven't betrayed me. These are from Tsuni, and she claimed you cheated on me. She even urged me to choose divorce with her, and when I disagreed, she insulted me. She slanders you like this, not deserving to be my friend. So you must not show her mercy for my sake. After seeing those photos, Hua Mui changed his mind. He felt that Sunmi was nothing but a petulant ingrate. He said to Huyen, she bullies my wife like this. I propose we let her leave empty-handed, so she knows that our Hu family is not to be trifled with. Additionally, I will take this evidence and sue her for defamation. Uncle, whatever you say, I'll do. Huyen, seeing him angered, did not dare to plead for Tsuni, thinking her actions were simply foolish. Who doesn't know that Humui cares about me the most? She dares to sow discord between me and Humui. This crosses his bottom line, and Humubai will definitely not let her off easily after discussing some follow-up details. Huyen went out, and Humui came to the dining room to have breakfast with me, personally peeling an egg for me. Eat more. If Tsuni bullies you, I will help you take revenge for this. I nodded and reached out to straighten Humu's tie. Thank you, hubby. Tsuni's good days came to an end from that day on. Yu Xiao's good days also came to an end. She was fired on the grounds that she had repeatedly humiliated those guests who dressed plainly looking down on them. Leave with nothing. Tuni thought she must have misheard. It was clearly not like this in her past life, as she had received 5 million in divorce compensation. Yes, just sign if you agree. If you don't, we'll just drag this out. But you can't stay in my apartment anymore. I will take it back immediately. Huyen didn't waste words with her and directly threw the divorce agreement in front of her, cutting off all her escape routes. Where will I live after leaving with nothing? Tenmi's expression turned grim. Live wherever you want. For instance, at your good friend Yuja's place. She's currently unemployed and has plenty of time to keep you company. Yes, Mimi, you can stay at my place. I welcome you to come. Stay as long as you like. I can even accompany you on a global tour. We are the best of friends. Su Xia Sha immediately extended an olive branch to Tsunami in order to help her divorce smoothly, even though she secretly hated her to death for causing her to lose her job at the subsidiary under the H family. All right, I'll sign. Seeing that further discussion would yield no benefits, Tenmi signed the divorce agreement. She thought that as long as she relied on travel to become a travel blogger, like in her previous life, she could live a good life and earn a lot of money. After the two of them went in to process the divorce, they would need to wait a month to receive the divorce certificate. During this month, Tsuni moved into Su Xiao's home. To be precise, it was the rented apartment that Su Xiao had. The apartment was in the old district, shabby and small. But Sunmi had nowhere else to go now. She had no habit of saving money before marriage and after marriage. She had been accustomed to spending the pocket money given by the H family lavishly. So she hadn't saved any money. At first, she could endure the stuffiness of the small rental apartment, but after just a couple of days, she couldn't stand it anymore. The houses in the old district were a bit aged, and the sound insulation wasn't very good at night when she was trying to sleep. It was either the dogs barking outside or the young couple upstairs rocking their bed frame, having been accustomed to a good life. Tsunami couldn't sleep because of this. She felt that this was simply not a life anyone should have to endure. On top of that, Hua Mubai had filed a lawsuit against her, demanding 1 million in damages for reputational harm, which she couldn't afford, turning her into a person marked by dishonesty. She took the initiative to call me. Xingnoa, I'm a bit short on cash right now. Can you lend me some money? I asked. How much do you want to borrow? She said, 10 million. That amount is nothing for you. The necklace your husband gave you costs more than that. I was both amused and annoyed. Her appetite was truly immense. I have the money, but there's no way I'm going to let her squander it. Allowing her to live well for even a day after the divorce, I'd rather lose. I returned to her the words she once said to me. You're really useless. Just fend for yourself. Tuni instantly reacted. You've been reborn. 2. You're deliberately seeking revenge on me. It turned out she was also a reborn person. Once eating my human flesh bun wasn't enough. She wanted to drag me down again. She's truly malicious. I pretended not to understand what she was saying and only said, What rebirth? If you have delusions, go get treated. I will never lend you money. Let's cut ties from now on. You're no longer worthy of my circle. I returned to her the sharp words she had once given me in her previous life. As a result, Tsunami was quite certain that I had also been reborn. On the other end of the line, she pleaded with me. Xingnoa, I was wrong in my last life. I let you down. Please lend me 10 million so that I can travel the world and become a travel blogger. I will earn a lot of money and I will pay you back. Can you help me? Please. This time, it was my turn to hang up on her. At the moment, I pressed the end call button. I severed her hope of rescue, but I still didn't blacklist her. I kept her contact information because it was still useful. In order to secure funding for the world trip under Yes, Xiao's suggestion, Suni mortgaged her parents' house to take out a high-interest loan. Then, in preparation for the post-divorce trip, she started to get ready, buying a lot of things needed for the journey. This alone cost a large sum of money, as she insisted on getting the best of everything and couldn't shake off her habit of spending extravagantly by the time she received the divorce certificate. She was left with only the 80,000 she had borrowed. For others, that amount might cover a year's expenses, but for her, it was barely enough for a single meal. She thought that as long as she showed up wearing a faded old outfit, Hu Yan would soften and willingly lend her money. However, after receiving the divorce certificate, Hu Yan left immediately, not even waiting for her to ask for money due to being classified as a dishonest person. She couldn't travel abroad normally. So, she ultimately chose to sneak across the border. Before leaving, Teeny sent me a message. I will prove that, even without your help, I will succeed in this lifetime. If I can't travel luxuriously, then I'll create a budget travel guide, all from places I've been to once. It shouldn't be too difficult. I replied to her only after she landed in America, using one sentence to completely break her defenses. You know, Yuxia Xia reached out to me through multiple contacts, asking me to introduce her to your ex-husband. She advised you to get a divorce so she could take your husband. Tuni didn't believe me, so I provided the video of you. Shirao Xia pleading with me. Tsunami said, This must be a fake video you created. She wouldn't treat me this way, just like you can never wake someone who is pretending to be asleep. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her and directly blocked her. I kept her around until now, just to let her see what kind of person you Shirao Xia, whom she trusted so much, really is. I want to see them tear each other apart. due to a lack of a visa and money. Suni's budget travel turned into a life of hiding and evasion. While she posted her budget travel tips online, she ended up living on the streets, relying on food donations to get by. After checking out her account, I decided to lend her a hand. I helped her buy data, allowing more people to see her travel style, akin to that of a street rat. Soon, a number of comments flooded into her comment section. Is this smuggling to become homeless? It really brings shame to the country in order to hitch a ride. She actually let that white man take advantage of her. Does she not care about her dignity for the sake of views? The video even has footage of her stealing, and the person she stole from is also of our nationality. I'm going to report her. People like this should be deported immediately. She's in California now. Just wait. I'm going to put on my cap and go find her. On that day, she didn't post any more information on her account. I heard she was arrested for theft and facing 3 months in jail before being deported. 3 months later, she was finally deported. After returning to her home country, she went back home. But due to her inability to repay the high interest loans she had taken out, her family's house had already been seized by the lenders. Her parents rented a small house in a town near the city, and they were livid with her, even cutting off all ties. She wanted to ask me for help, but when she couldn't find me, she turned to my parents. Fortunately, they had already moved. I bought them a small villa with a pond in the suburbs. My dad could fish and my mom could plant flowers. The area was very quiet with good security, and she couldn't get into the villa community to make a living. She started looking for work, but legitimate jobs paid too slowly in order to earn money quickly and pay off her debt sooner. She became the mistress of a man in his 60s, gradually managing to pay off more than half of her debts. As the new year approached, the class monitor suggested holding a gathering, and she learned that I would be attending as well. Finally, on the day of the class reunion, she found her chance to see me. Are you pregnant? Tsunami arrived early at the gathering restaurant, wearing an out-offs designer dress, feeling superior until she saw me walking in slowly with my big belly, at which point her smile instantly vanished. Yes, I nodded, then ignored her and started chatting with another female classmate next to me. Xingnoa, this bracelet of yours must be worth quite a bit. Right. Xingnoa, your skin is so beautiful. You must be about to give birth. This baby of yours is the only hope of the H family. You are really lucky. As soon as I arrived, I instantly became the focus of everyone's flattery. Those who had previously fawned over me quickly pushed her aside, both because of my better attire and because my husband is Humwai. I casually responded to a few comments until Sunmi took the initiative to walk over, wanting to switch places with a female classmate beside me. I want to chat with Xingnoa. Can we switch seats? As the female classmate was about to stand up, I refused. I have nothing to say to you. Please keep 3M away from me, or don't blame my bodyguard for being rude. Tuni found herself in a dilemma. I wouldn't let her sit down, and she was unwilling to leave. In the end, she stopped 3 meters away and asked me, You really can't forgive me. We've been good friends for many years. Is it worth it to sever ties over something so trivial? What do you mean by something trivial? It turns out that in my past life, she caused my demise, and to her, it was just something trivial. Perhaps it's time for her to experience the taste of being cornered as well. I was pregnant and didn't want to argue with her too much, for fear of disturbing the baby. I casually said, There is no friendship left between us. Perhaps you can go find you. Shasha, I remember you two were good friends. Upon hearing me mention you, Shasha, she started to cry. She lamented in front of me. Xingnoa, I'm only now realizing that she encouraged my divorce, making me end up like this just to harm me. She can't stand to see me do well. Only you truly treat me with kindness. After I returned to the country, I went to look for her. Not only did she refuse to take me in, but she also called me stupid and kicked me out onto the street. Can we continue to be best friends if you can help our boss Wang just by getting him an order from your family? He would be willing to divorce that yellow-faced woman from his family and make me the legitimate one. Her current support is that old man. The old man has some money, but he is unwilling to help her pay off her debts immediately, and even less willing to take her home unless she can secure an order from the Ho family through me, allowing the old man to cling to the Ho family's leg. So, it turns out you were waiting for me here. She cried pitifully, and some classmates felt sympathy and urged me. It's just a classmate thing. How about you help her out? I coldly laughed. She is shameless enough to be someone's mistress. So why should I help her bully innocent Mrs. Wong? Just because she cries. Does that make her right? Do you all know why she divorced Huyen in the first place? Everyone looked at each other, and then someone, Sadie, said it was due to emotional discord. Right. So this is how she had everyone fooled. I directly pulled up the verdict from my phone. It's because she wanted me to divorce as well, slandering my husband for cheating, and because she was seeking male models during the marriage. Caught in a compromising situation with two men by Huyen, since she wants to play the victim and moralistically coerce me. Then don't blame me for exposing her past. How could she do that? It's so disgusting, even scheming against her best friend. Is she even human? How could she have the nerve to ask Xing Noah for leniency? I've heard about her failing as a travel blogger abroad. They say she stole things from locals just to save money while traveling and ended up in jail because of it. Her character is so low. The smears of the crowd nearly drowned her out. If Tsunami had any sense of shame left, she should have slunk away immediately. But she was long past caring about her dignity. With a reckless abandon, she pointed her finger at my nose and exclaimed, "So what? That doesn't change the fact that we were once best friends. You once said you wouldn't abandon me, that you wouldn't leave me behind. Do you want to go back on your word?" In her past life, she had caused the death of both me and my child. Why should I still honor that damn agreement? I instinctively touched my belly where the baby was, and it seemed to sense my emotional turmoil, giving me a gentle kick. I told myself not to get worked up. After forcing myself to calm down, I said coldly, "People like you, scum of the earth, have long since lost the right to be my best friend. Don't tarnish the term best friend. By the way, you probably don't know, your ex-husband, Huyen, has remarried. He married the only daughter of the Chin family, who is gentle, beautiful, and treats him particularly well. They have already moved to Kyoto to develop their future. He told me that if he runs into you, he wants me to say thank you on his behalf. If it weren't for you insisting on divorcing him, he wouldn't have met such a wonderful current wife." At this moment, Tinmi deeply regretted her decision back then. If she hadn't listened to malicious gossip, she would still be living a life where clothes are handed to her and meals are served. She would still be the second young mistress of the Ho family, nor would she have lost her uterus from the hellish experience of being bullied by inmates in a prison in the US, meaning she would never be able to have her own children for the rest of her life. She looked at herself, then at me, seeing me all glamorous and pregnant. She was nearly driven mad with jealousy. Then she did something she would regret for the rest of her life. She grabbed the dinner knife from the table and thrust it towards my belly, shouting, "How dare you live better than me? You should die." At that critical moment, I calmly took a sip of tea, coldly staring at her because the next second, when she was still 2 m away from me, one of the two bodyguards standing behind me wrested the dinner knife from her hand while the other kicked her away. She was quickly subdued by the bodyguards, pinned to the ground and unable to move. One of my classmates helped me call the police. "Hello, is this the police? Someone is attacking here." She lay defeated on the ground, knowing that Humubai would definitely not let her off. Finally, she cried, collapsing on the ground, her sobs ragged. "I was wrong. Just spare me this once." I was blinded by greed. I leaned back in the chair, looking down at her from a height. "You don't just realize your mistake. You know you are completely finished. Attempted murder will land you in prison, and your backers won't be able to save you." I had anticipated she might resort to this. she wouldn't miss the chance to hurt me. So before coming to the class reunion today, I had made preparations. Not only had the cameras in this private room been set up well in advance, but my meal had also been inspected beforehand. The two bodyguards I brought with me were both retired special forces, and 3M was enough for them to stop Tsunami from doing anything to me. I would never joke about the child in my belly. Tsunami lay there in a miserable heap, staring at me intently, her gaze unwavering until she was taken away by the police. She said nothing and looked defeated and vacant. But this was not the end. It was merely the beginning. She treated me like this not just because Humubin wouldn't let her go, but I wouldn't let her go either. I would not give her any chance to turn her situation around. Xingnoa, just as I was about to leave the restaurant, rushed in, frantic, when he saw me standing there completely unharmed. He immediately rushed over and embraced me, on the verge of tears. Honey, I'm fine. The baby wasn't scared at all. I was well protected. Sensing his whole body was trembling, I obediently let him hold me, softly, reassuring him. I was about to give birth, and he was particularly on edge this month. That's good. I can't be without you and the baby. He released me, carefully supporting me. Wife, I'm here to take you home. Just take your time. There's no rush. I'm really fine. I slowly sat in the car with his help. After the car door closed, he immediately touched my hand. Wife, are you cold? Do you want me to turn up the air conditioning? I shook my head and leaned on his shoulder. I'm not cold. I'm fine. Don't worry. The baby and I will be okay and will always be with you. Mubai held my hand and said with lingering fear, Promise me, don't get too close to her again. She's too extreme. I nodded. Don't worry. I'll be more careful in the future. At night, Wu Mubai leaned against the headboard, preparing for prenatal education for the baby in my belly. He told stories vividly and even introduced himself. Baby, I'm your dad. When the child in my belly heard his voice, they joyfully started clapping and drumming. He was looking forward to meeting the child, and the child was also excited to meet him. I gently smiled while touching my belly, which would occasionally protrude. Mubai hired the best lawyer to handle the attempted murder case against Sunmi. When we found out, she laughed and said, I'm doomed. A month later, when the trial started and I appeared in court as the victim, Guam Mubai, fearing she might harm me again, assigned me 10 bodyguards all at once, which seemed overly exaggerated, but made me feel quite safe. Tuni seemed to have aged 20 years overnight. Now, not only was Humubai unwilling to let her go, but President Wang's wife was also preparing to deal with her upon learning that she was President Wang's mistress. As soon as she entered prison, there would be someone waiting to make her suffer, turning her life into an unbearable experience. In the end, she was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison. When she heard the verdict, her expression was blank, like an old hand who didn't fear boiling water. 3 years or 30 years made no difference to her now. President Wang no longer wanted her. By the time she came out of prison, she would have lost her youth and beauty. Her once prized looks would be gone, and she wouldn't have the chance to make a comeback. As she was taken away, she cast one last glance in my direction, then lowered her head. After being imprisoned, Mr. Wang's wife asked her cellmate to take good care of her. Tsunami couldn't endure their brutal treatment and attempted to end her life several times. But each time someone found her and brought her back, she lived like a walking corpse, each day feeling like a year, suffering more than death itself. On the other side, on the second day of the new year, after my water broke, I was wheeled into the delivery room. Guam Mubai was concerned about me, so he chose to accompany me into the delivery room. Throughout the entire process of giving birth, he held my hand tightly, cheering me on. Fortunately, my delivery was quite smooth, and after an hour and a half, I gave birth to a baby boy. Both mother and child are safe. After the baby's cries echoed throughout the delivery room, the doctor brought over the cleaned-up baby for us to see. The little guy had his eyes closed and his face was wrinkled. but when I reached out to touch his tiny hand, he instinctively grasped my finger, which was incredibly adorable. Guam Mubai stood by emotionally misty-eyed, staring intently at me and the baby. Honey, this is our child. He looks just as good as you. I nodded. The nose and mouth are like yours. The ears and chin are like mine. This child has really inherited the best traits from both of us. We exchanged a smile. When I got home after being discharged from the hospital to observe the month of confinement, I received a letter from prison written bites in me due to the beatings. Her originally delicate handwriting had become crooked and twisted, and the paper was stained with tears. She said she truly realized her mistakes and begged me, as an old friend of many years, to help her plead with Mr. Wong's wife to be lenient. I directly threw the letter into the trash after reading it. In my previous life, when she caused me to die twice, she never showed me any mercy. She replied in her letter, "The affair between you and Mr. Wong was disclosed to Mrs. Wong by me. Teeny lost all hope and committed suicide in prison using a toothbrush. When she was discovered this time, the blood was flowing heavily and they couldn't save her. Her life was frozen at the age of 26. In the end, her parents felt a pang of compassion, went to retrieve her body, cremated it into a jar of ashes, and buried it in the graveyard of their hometown. Tinmi, who was supposed to have a beautiful life, ultimately ruined her great future because of her own foolishness without me as her stepping stone in this life. Her journey is no longer smooth sailing, but filled with hardships. As time passed day by day, I gradually began to forget the hatred along with her. When the baby turned 2, I became pregnant with my second child, and whom I was so happy that he gave an extra month's salary to all the employees of the group. On a spring day, the sun was warm and bright. W. Mubai held the baby who had just learned to run, occasionally turning back to check on me, sitting on the grass, basking in the sun, concerned about whether I was too hot or feeling nauseous again. The happiness of this moment is what I longed for before I died in my past life. It's wonderful that in this life we have a good ending with our family reunited.